What's good, Combat Sports fans? Welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It. This is episode 42, and it should be episode like 46 at this point, but I had a little vacation. I took a little vacation. I was out of town, but nevertheless, back at it with new episodes, fresh episodes. You already know. And look, I missed out on reviewing one fight card and then another fight card passed. So we got two fight cards to review tonight. So let's jump right in. So like I said, I missed two fight cards, right? So, I didn't miss them. Let me rephrase that. I saw them. I didn't review them. So, we're going to review those today. First one is UFC 292. Sean O'Malley becomes your new UFC bantamweight champion. Now, if you saw the breakdown, I didn't predict that. I had no expectation of Sean O'Malley becoming champion. I had every feeling that Sean O'Malley did not reach where he needed to reach to get to the division's best. But my man did something that Henry Cejudo, TJ Dillashaw, Corey Sandhagen, and Petr Yan all failed to do against Aljamain Sterling. Not only that, few other good performances. My man Marlon Vera back in the win column. You already know I was rooting for Cheeto. I had a feeling Pedro could have etched out a decision against him, but he didn't. Marlon Vera ended up getting the decision. He looked good. He looked sharp. He looked a little, again, slow starting. He was patient, but that third round he took over and did what he needed to do to get the win. So shout out. Good seeing Cheeto Vera back in the win column. So shout out to Cheeto. You had Ian Gary got the win over Neil Magny. Let's talk about this one for 2 seconds. You're supposed to be an absolute phenom coming up. You had Neil Magny on one leg for 3 rounds. That fight should have been finished. Short notice, Neil Magny. First off, Neil Magny, fucking warrior. No doubt, absolute warrior. But Ian Gary, bro, you should have had that fight finished. Trying to make big statements. I know he was looking for another kind of finish, but he should have had that one finish. I feel like these guys, they don't want to, and maybe it's like an unsaid thing in there that these guys don't want to continue chopping down somebody's leg and possibly ruin their career from leg kicks. But hey, man, it's the fight game. This one leg kick can ruin somebody's career, and 100 leg kicks can ruin somebody's career. So you got to keep snapping them. You saw he was hurt. He could have went for the finish, but he didn't. He kept working them. But I want to talk about it for the beef aspect of it real quick. Can we talk about like how pointless and strange the beef out of nowhere came from Ian Gary and Neil Magny? Now, Neil Magny said a quote saying that he's old school. He was going to beat Ian Gary like his child, basically, like, you know, disciplining his child. That's what he was saying. And Ian Gary took it as a putting his hands on kids and he took it and he just ran with it and took it to the fullest extent with it, and he built a beef off it, and there was a legitimate beef in there, and it was weird to see. Not many guys go in there with any sort of animosity towards Neil Magny, so it was strange to see, different to see. I know Ian Gary lost a lot of respect from a lot of fans in that aspect, but the dude's a brash Irishman. We've seen one, we've dealt with one, not surprised to see another one. This one's just more of like a trollish kind of type of dude. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but he got the win. I mean, Ian Gary looked good, so he got it done. He did what he needed to do, so you can't complain about it. You can't bitch about it. Weili Zhang looked like a fucking world beater. I didn't expect her to look that good. Got to give props to Amanda Lemos for being in there, staying in there, taking the shots, taking the damage, and trying to work and give it all back. Yo, she throws bomb punches, bro. She throws bomb punches. So it was wild to see her throwing them punches like that. Amanda Lemos was chucking them shit. She was trying to knock Weili Zhang out. No doubt. But the main event, the big title change, unbelievable. 2 rounds. Sean O'Malley got it done in 2 rounds against Aljamain Sterling. Now, originally, the episode you're watching right now was supposed to be another episode that I was going to drop that past Saturday, talking about Aljo potentially being the GOAT of the bantamweight division. And I discussed how if Aljo wins, he's still in that race for being the GOAT. If Sean wins, doesn't mean that Sean becomes GOAT. Just means Sean's going to reign over that division. Let's see what he's going to do now. But I had a video talking about Aljo being the GOAT, and the first time I ever gave Aljo props, and he got knocked out. Now, perfectly timed punch, perfectly placed. You know, out of any fighter in that division that was going to land some beautiful counter like that, it was going to be Sean O'Malley. And just unbelievable. Unbelievable. He looked good in the first round. He looked kind of patient. He looked like he was trying to, show that he's not going to throw nothing stupid and get caught in any takedowns or any clinches, anything that's dangerous against a guy like Aljo. He played it very smart. Aljo did what he normally does, paced himself. It seemed like Aljo was going to try to strike with him. And that was something that I was like, ooh, if Aljo tries to strike with him, it could be a long night. And that's what I was getting the vibe for, is he was going to try to, test the ego and say, fuck it. I'm the best bantamweight in the world right now. You're just one of the top guys. I'm going to show you that I'm better than you. And, he got caught. It happens. That happens against a guy like Sean O'Malley. Striking is phenomenal. So I'm curious to see what's next for him. There's so many people in the division to fight. You talk about he wants to fight Cheeto. Go ahead and make the Cheeto fight. The bad thing about that fight is if Cheeto does win, who, no offense to Cheeto, big fan of him, but he doesn't deserve a title shot right now. But Sean didn't deserve one anyways, in my opinion. But Cheeto don't deserve a title shot right now. The one who does, he's injured, but it'd be Corey Sandhagen. Makes the most sense to get the next title shot. But with the injury, who knows how long he's going to be out. If Marlon Vera gets that title shot and Sean loses to Marlon again, that's really a bad look. Really bad look in giving a guy who didn't deserve a title shot. But besides that, think about the matchups. You got Sean and Cheeto rematch, Sean and Corey, Sean and Marab, Sean and Piotr rematch, if that's a thing. I don't even know if Piotr's still in the UFC, but I guess you got to do some research and see what's up with him. Different guys on the come up. You never know how the division can change. It can change in a few fights. You could have a guy like Song Yadong being ranked somewhere between 8 and 10. Next minute, he's in the top 5. It's real quick like that. So it just depends on who wins, who keeps winning. But a lot of exciting fights. And I would assume that an Aljo rematch is in there somewhere, but I don't see it being ran quickly. And I definitely think Aljo's time to go up to 145. It's probably now, but at the same time, man, dudes hit a lot harder at 145 than they do 135. So I'd be curious to see what Aljo's plans are next. But at the same time, Sean O'Malley is not a king of the bantamweight division, and we're just going to see what happens from here. So hopefully he wants Cheeto in December. Run that, because we just got the announcement today that Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, December 16th, is looking pretty official. So run that. Get Sean and Cheeto on that fucking co-main right there, and you got one of the biggest cards in history just off of name basis alone. So I would run that for sure. But besides that, we will skip ahead now. We will get to the next card. We just had this Singapore card. Now, I didn't watch the whole thing. My whole, aspect was I got to make sure I see Max Holloway fight. I'll never miss a Max Holloway fight. That's on everything. I love watching Max fight. One of the most exciting fighters I've ever witnessed. Now, it was a nice card because it was a morning card. So it was kind of fun to watch. But man, oh man, Max versus the Korean Zombie, unbelievable. Korean Zombie said, fuck it, I'm going to just go out there and I'm coming out to go to war. If I go to war and get slept, I go to war and get slept. If I go to war and win, then we did that too. Let's get it. Whatever happens, happens. And I fucked with that mentality from the Zombie. But Max came out the better man. Now the first round, Zombie came out. Max was kind of like just tapping away, countering. He caught Zombie with a few shots. Second round, dropped Zombie. Thought he had a walk-off finish. Then he went for a beautiful anaconda choke. Almost had it. Very close. I don't know how the Zombie survived it. He had just enough with his hands on the hips to keep enough, distance from the choke, I guess. And Max said he felt him sleeping. So who knows? Maybe woke him back up. But beautiful choke. Couldn't get the finish from that. Fight ended up back up. Coming out for the third round, I'm thinking, shit, Max is he might get his win. He might get his win back. You never know. The Korean Zombie, Max might have, no, I can't talk. Max might have let the Korean Zombie get a second win, right? That might have been a problem. I was like, oh shit, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Korean Zombie came out like a bull in a china shop. Legitimately, he came out like a fucking bull. And I was like, there's that second win. But I did not expect Max to pop him. Just popped him with a beautiful overhand right. And the way Zombie fell, just nasty. Nasty KO, nasty walk-off for Max Holloway. Max Holloway said, I'm due for a finish. And he fucking got the finish. So shout out to Max Holloway for that. The best is blessed. I can't wait to see him fight again, bro. I love watching Max fight. I love watching Max fight. But what's next for Max is the big question. You can't really do a fourth fight with Volk. Volk and Ilia Topuria looks like it's going to be a possible thing. Would you do Max and Yair 2 as a main event of a fight night? Would you do Max and Josh Emmett? Would you do Max and Brian 2? I don't know. It's like now it's kind of like dead in that division for Max. I think Max can move his way on up to 155. He doesn't have to fight for a belt, but there could be exciting matchups. You could see him maybe up against like a guy like a Dan Hooker, Jalen Turner. Then you could put him into obviously the Justin Gaethje, the Michael Chandlers, McGregor fights. Tony Ferguson claims he's still fighting, but I don't think that fight would have the same weight that it once would have. You never know. I think Max at 155 could be fun and interesting. Not having to see him cut weight, but him being just holding that number one at featherweight has been so impressive. It's almost as impressive as being the champion, but he just holds that champion number one spot. He's locked up there, and no one can move him. The only person that makes any noise is Alexander Volkanovski. It's crazy. But on the other end of that, obviously the Zombie retired. He called it quits. Understandably so. The dude's had a long career. A very long career. And he's had a great career. He never got to the heights of getting the belt in the UFC. But he was exciting all throughout his career. WEC to UFC. Very fun to watch. You don't get a name like the Zombie from nothing. He's got the first Twister finish in UFC. Just a fantastic fighter, and they gave him a fantastic send-off with the Zombie music by the Cranberries, Cranberries, yeah, playing in the background, and all the crowd singing while he was walking out. He put his gloves down. It was kind of an emotional thing to see. For me, like, it's emotional to watch these guys retire because I've been watching them for so long. It's almost like, damn, I grew up with you doing what you've been doing in the sport. I've just been growing up watching you do it, and it's incredible to see. And it's a fun ass career that Korean Zombie had. Very fun ass career. There are so many fights that you can go back. He fucked up Dennis Bermudez. You can go back to that one. You can go back to when he beat Mark Hominick. You can go back to the Dustin Poirier fight. You can obviously go back to why did I go blank on his name? It was the bangers in WEC he had. He had a good fight with Cub Swanson, I'm pretty sure. Obviously the fight with Jose. Damn, I can't think of the dude's name though. Why can't I think of the dude's name now? There was a certain fight in WEC that I have it pictured in my head. I could see the guy he was fighting, and I can't think of the guy's name. But a lot of fights to go back and look at for the Korean Zombie to see how good his career was. Like I said, never got to the height of getting the belt, but put on unbelievable fights every time that he was in the octagon. Every time it was exciting. From finishes, like I said, to beating Mark Hominick all the way to beating Frankie Edgar. Fantastic career. So thank you, Zombie, for many, many, many entertaining fights in there. My dude, enjoy retirement. Other than that, nothing really else to talk about because I didn't see much else of the Singapore card. So I really saw that fight, paid attention close to that fight, and yeah, that was pretty much it. If there's one other tribute I can give real quick, it is to Bray Wyatt. Unfortunately, every so many years, you get a super, super talented WWE star. And yes, I'm getting off of UFC for 2 seconds. You get a really talented WWE star that ends up passing away way too early. If you're around my age or older, you had it with Eddie Guerrero back in the day, and all the way to now. Bray Wyatt, super sad passing to him. So rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. Hate to add, I'm not gonna end this on a sad note. Trust me, I'll liven it up just a bit more. But just wanted to give that because the dude was such a good talent, such a creative talent and a fun talent. And I'm supposed to talk about WWE on this podcast, but I never do. I never do just because it's hard to follow. Wrestling's hard to follow. There's so much of it. But I've watched a lot of his stuff, and he was super entertaining. So I just had to give that real quick. Besides that, yeah, that's pretty much it. I had to come through with the breakdowns or the reviews. I came through with the reviews. Let's see what's the next UFC real quick before I get off. Let's see what we got. Next UFC is another fight night. Is the Cyril Gane versus Sergey Spivak. So the return of Cyril Gane. He's got to make some noise. At the end of the day, that man's got to make some fucking noise because that was a very, very bad, piss poor performance against John Jones. He better go out there and smoke Sergey Spivak or everybody in the world is going to be chanting overrated on that ass. Son, better come through. Better come through, Cyril Gane. Oh, and Manon Fiorot is fighting Rose Namajunas. So that's actually a really big women's flyweight fight. Can Rose bounce back from her last fight? And can Manon Fiorot keep it going? Because this fight is the one that puts her in that title contention. So we'll see. You got Benoit St. Denis fighting Thiago Moises. Volkan Ozdemir is returning against Bogdan Guskov. So got a couple decent fights. We'll see what's going on. And then you got UFC 293 right after that. The next week after that, you got Adesanya and Strickland. So I'll be back with a big ass breakdown for that one because that's gonna be a funny one. I don't even care about the fight, man. I'm just ready to see the whole fucking press conference, all the build up, the vlogs, everything. Sean is a loose cannon, bruv, and I love it. I love it. And having two personalities like him and Izzy on the same card to be able to talk smack to each other, run it all day. I'm all with it. So I'll catch you on the next episode for the UFC 293 breakdown. I might do a slight Gane Spivak breakdown. We'll see how that goes. But as always, thank you for listening. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell notification button so you know when the next episode is out. And I'll catch you then. I'll talk to you later. Peace.